Welcome back to the Standing Room Only podcast, episode 71. We should have a lot of baseball to talk about, some basketball, injuries, and just talks about teams and going into the playoffs. And then we have a couple NFL moves that have happened recently. As always, if you guys do enjoy the podcast, make sure to follow the podcast on social media, Twitter and Instagram at SROnlyPod. If you want to follow us on our personal pages, I am at the Healy6.
And I am iGoose with 4 O's. As always, don't ask why, just hit that follow button. Stay interactive. Let's talk sports.
Yeah, if you guys do enjoy the podcast, make sure you hit that download button. Best way to show support. Still pretty much the only way we can track our data. So you can always download the episode, delete it later at a later date. Won't hurt us at all after that. We just are curious on see how big our audience is or like where we're at. But baseball talk. Missed out on last week. Got to catch up to this week. Some of you guys are probably interested in a couple of these topics. We're going to start off with the Nicholas Castellanos situation. So, you guys don't know, Nick Castellanos against the Cardinals got hit with the pitch early in the game. He had a home run the game before, but he got hit with the pitch. Wasn't intentional. Yachty told him that. He acknowledged it. He kind of went after his AB when he got hit, grabbed the ball, like showed it to the pitcher, like, hey, do you want this? And then he tossed it to the side. And then Castellanos was able to advance to third off of a Joey Votto single. Mike Moustakas was up to the plate after that. And first pitch, wild pitch, Nick Castellanos scores from third, slides into home plate, throw isn't in time from Yachty, and Nick Castellanos shows some emotion. He's all hyped up. He got hit, he came around to score, bang play, and his adrenaline was there. He was hyped. And he flexed on the pitcher. And then Yachty was like, hey, can't have that. Nick Castellanos just walked away, but Yachty came up, pulled on his shoulder, and then the benches cleared from both sides. During the bench clearing situation, after it calmed down a little bit, Jordan Hicks and some of the Reds guys were kind of yapping at each other, going back. And as a result, the only guy to get suspended and ejected from the game was Nick Castellanos due to COVID protocols. And he was suspended 2 games. I still don't know if he served those. He was appealing them, which as he should. But it's just like hilarious how he's the one that gets kicked out of the game for initiating the fight when it was Yachty who ran over, grabbed him on the shoulder, and then the bench is cleared.
Yes, I do agree with that. I do agree that the suspension, the ejection of only Nick Castellanos is a little absurd, but we've seen Major League Baseball with some very absurd calls, if you will, which we'll talk about. He was just showing emotion. He did flex. I think it's fair for him to do it, but I also believe it's fair for Yachty to check for, cover his guy, check the guy. Like you're not gonna taunt my guy. Yeah, sure. The bench is cleared, but it wasn't like a huge fight. It wasn't like a Kyle Farnsworth against whoever against the Reds years ago, breaking noses. It wasn't like that. So I do agree that he should not be suspended. The ejection, you'll take it. Like whatever. You scored the run. You got hit. It's a little dramatic. Personally, I think. Some people argue that it's up there with the bat flip. Like it's like the same thing. It's taunting. This is a little bit different. You're over a guy. You're not Allen Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue or anything like that. So I think it was fair for him to do it to show the emotion. He got the hit by pitch. There was probably words that were said, and then it's fair for Yachty to check Nick and say, hey, that shit's not gonna fly around here, homie. Like you don't do that, and it's fair both ways. To eject one and not the other, though, it's kind of like like Yachty didn't do anything. Like he did. I mean, if we want to go based off protocols, like he did put his hands on him versus Nick Castellanos did not put his hands on anybody. Technically, he only flexed. So it was kind of stupid all around, but not fair. Not fair at all.
Yeah. And Nick Castellanos, an example I kind of brought up with is like, before we get into that, baseball, like we want these guys to show emotion. We want it to get more exciting. This play, it's kind of like in the NBA when you dunk on someone.
Mm-hmm.
He got hit. It's like he got blocked the other end. He comes down the floor, he scores on a wild pitch, slides, and it's just a slam dunk on him. But in the baseball world, they're still kind of in the past, and a lot of these guys are just not about it. They just hate it for whatever reason. They were calling Nick Castellanos soft for doing that. It just didn't make any sense. It's just a flex. It happened. It's a cool play. You don't want that to happen. Don't allow him to score. Easy as that.
I agree. I do agree. So I believe that it's not as special when it's on a wild pitch. It's not like he stole home. He didn't pull Benny the Jet Rodriguez and steal home. So I do agree with you. Yeah, if you don't want it to happen, just stop it. Same thing with bat flips. Don't give up the long ball. I do feel like that there is a little bit of a difference. But at the same time, like you said, you get dunked on in the NBA. I'm gonna put my head down because I'm on a poster tomorrow. I'm gonna put my head down and keep trucking. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it was a bang bang play. It happened. I don't think it's that big of it. I personally, watching it, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I thought it was just he was showing emotion. He was definitely over the top for being a wild pitch score. He was definitely over the top, but nothing where like. And for Yachty to check him, I thought it was fair. If I'm Nick Castellanos, I'm like, look, my bad. Like, I got, whatever, like, back up. Like, it is what it is. I just don't think it was as big of a deal as it was made out to be for a suspension, or even the ejection shouldn't have happened. It really shouldn't have happened.
A funny quote.
Yeah.
Funny quote from Nick Castellanos in the press conference. He said he would stand there and take a punch from Yachty if he wanted to throw one. That's how much he respects Yachty. He wouldn't do anything. He would take it from Yachty. And even so, after it calmed down, both Yachty and Castellanos were just talking to each other.
They did. They ended up talking. His post-game interview, I thought that was the most professional thing he could have done. That right there for me is saying we're grown, we're men, however you want to word that, right? Whatever's politically correct. It is what it is. It happened. I let my emotions get the best of me. Yeah, they talked about it. There's no way if he already served it, then damn. If he didn't serve it and he is still appealing it, the MLB's got to look at it and be like, at least let's take away a game. A game. Like that's what you want. You want someone to get up there, to not be ignorant, to look good for not only his franchise, for the league, but to cover himself and that's the ultimate sign of respect right there to Yadier Molina, who's been in the league. I don't know, how old am I? 28, so maybe like 35 years, and so on and so forth. But I think that I think Nick Castellanos did the right thing. I think he did the right thing by doing that.
Mm-hmm. So that happened early on in the season. I was looking at the date today. It happened like 10 days ago. Also, the Reds were kicking the crap out of the Cardinals all weekend. So that happened. Joe Musgrove threw a no-hitter.
JoJo with the no-no.
For San Diego against the Texas Rangers, which is hilarious because the Rangers and Padres over the past year, the Rangers have just been bullied. They got 4 grand slams hit against them last year.
Mm-hmm.
They got the Tatis one on top of that, which started the discussion. And then they get no hit this year by the Padres. I believe there's only 1 walk in the game as well.
Yeah, it was a hit by pitch.
Yeah, hit by pitch.
Think, was it Gallo that got hit? Somebody got hit.
Yeah, it was Gallo. A lefty.
It was, wasn't it?
A lefty.
Yeah. I saw like it was like breaking news. Obviously that game isn't televised for us, so we're catching it was like, oh, no hitter on ESPN, and they were showing some plays. They're leading up to it, and I'm looking, and they're like celebrating a no hitter, and I'm a no hit. But when you look at the box score, he has no walks on the box score, so I'm confused. So finally, I'm going through, and I had to go through play by play, and I forgot what inning it was, and I was like, oh, Joey Gallo hit by pitch. So I thought for sure it was a perfect game. It would have been a perfect game if it wasn't for that one pitch, unfortunately. But either way, dude is on fire. He's on fire.
Yeah,
Padres are hot.
From the Pirates as well, which is hilarious. Every Pirates pitcher goes to a new team and just does magic. It's just no disrespect to like those guys. They were good regardless. It's just how the Pirates coaches are and their philosophy just limits guys' potential there. Yeah, Joe Musgrove, no hitter in Texas. They wore those sick road unis. And fun fact, Victor Caratini was the catcher in that game, and Victor Caratini was the catcher in the Alec Mills no-hitter last year.
Wow.
So 2 straight no-hitters for Victor Caratini with 2 different teams as well.
That's a flex. That's a flex. You can go. That's not going to be on a stat sheet. I mean, it is somewhere technically, but that's like right there. How many no-nos have you caught? Nobody asked that. Nobody asked that. That's awesome. Victor Caratini. He was with the Cubs, wasn't he?
Yeah, he got traded in the Yu Darvish deal.
Oh man. Wow.
So that happened. Also, bad news with Tatis. He had like a partially torn labrum in his left shoulder. So it's his left shoulder. They thought that he was going to be out for the year, which would have been terrible, especially after this huge contract, even though he was only making $1 million this year regardless. And he's actually making progress to come back. He was on the 10-day IL. He's actually taking swings again, and he's kind of changed his swing. So before, he would have, and probably a reason for the injury, he would have a one-handed follow-through. This year, or like as I'm seeing him take BP, he has a two-handed follow-through. So I think that's causing less stress on it. Who knows how many more times it's going to be tweaked throughout the year. But I think the two-handed is going to help him out a lot. And I'm glad that he's coming back. I'm glad that he's making a full return.
Is he coming back like soon?
They're reevaluating him once the 10 days are up from whenever they put him on.
Labrum. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, the recovery's not very long on that, but as a baseball player, he throws with his right. He bats and throws right. So I guess it doesn't really matter. 2 hands for safety. We'll see if that changes midway through the season.
Yeah, they've had Kim pick up shortstop reps for him since being taken out. He was a free agent signing, an international signing in the offseason. He was a shortstop, made the final play of the no-hitter. So shout out to him. Another foreign player that has been doing so well this season, and I'm kind of mad because of my predictions, Shohei Ohtani has been playing well. He's had a couple starts so far. He had a Sunday Night Baseball start in which he was doing well, and then the last inning kind of hurt him. There's a drop third strike that would have taken him out of the inning, but that didn't happen, and it caused him to have maybe 1 earned run, because the runs that came off of that were errors, so I don't think it hurt him at all, but he didn't get the win. Regardless, this guy is hitting home runs. He hit a ball 119 miles per hour, which is like the hardest in baseball. He's also thrown the hardest pitch in baseball, which is 101 point something miles per hour. And this dude is just so quick as well. He is lightning fast on the base paths, stealing bases. I predicted him as my Cy Young winner last year, or my MVP last year, not Cy Young, MVP. I almost wanted to go with it again this year. I did not, so I'm going to be mad if he wins it this year.
Yeah. Before we got on, I had to mention you were a year behind. You were a year behind on Shohei. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. The fact that he's able to, because he got hurt. Wasn't he hurt last year, the season before?
Yeah, Tommy John.
Yeah, the Tommy John. Comes back, clearly still throwing hard, 101. Throwing 100 at, well, a lot of guys are throwing harder nowadays after the Tommy John. And he's batting over 300. And they're playing extremely well. I was going to pick the Angels to win their division in our predictions, and I mentioned it, but I was like, I just don't think they're there quite yet, and I really want to see Trout win. But the fact that him and Trout are doing what they do, and they kind of have a good team around them. Obviously, the pitching isn't there.
Yeah.
They're not bad right now. Definitely one of my surprise teams.
I overlooked them. Maybe I should have had them in the wild card over the A's. I just know the A's in the past have done better. Watch out though for the Angels. They're going to come for that division spot and for the wild card spot. Shohei Ohtani.
He had a home run tonight.
Yeah, lefty home run tonight at Kauffman Stadium. The dude just continues to put in the work. And what I like seeing, because of Joe Madden, no other team has done this really, but Joe Madden actually had Shohei bat when he was pitching. He batted him in the 2 spot. He had him pitch as well. And for the first time since like the DH became a thing, an American League team has given up the DH spot in a game. Now Shohei Ohtani.
That's nuts. So is he only DH now? Because he was an outfielder too.
He hasn't played outfield in the majors. He played outfield when he was in Japan. He played right field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that because he's got an arm. So
yeah, so it'd be interesting to see maybe one of these starts. He's hitting very well, but he's not pitching too hot, and they have to take him out, and they just toss him in right field. I don't know if they will. They might think of him as too valuable and too much of an injury risk going that way. It'd be cool though, especially if they need him late in the game, because once he's pitching, and he's done, you can't use him. He's out of the lineup as well.
You can do double switch, right?
Yeah, you could do a double switch and keep him in.
That's a Joe Madden move. I feel like Joe Madden is the one to do something like that.
It's just you don't have the DH for the game then. It's not like he could be like, all right, he's out of the game, now he's the DH. No, once you give up the DH, you don't have it the remainder of the game.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Which is why no American League team has given up the DH to start off the game. So Shohei Ohtani has been killing it. Another guy who's been doing work, Akil Baddoo, 22-year-old playing for the Tigers. He was in the Twins organization last year, and he was drafted in the Rule 5 draft by the Tigers. So Rule 5 draft happens normally in December, and if you are not on the 40-man roster and a certain age or a certain amount of years is in the minors, you are eligible to be in a draft for other teams to take you. If a team takes you, you have to play for that team on the major league roster. Otherwise, you get sent back to your previous team. So the Tigers took a risk. They were going to be bad regardless. And he has been playing very well. He had a home run today. He has 4 or 5 on the year. He's had a triple. He's won a game for the Tigers. He had a walk-off hit. Strikes out a lot. He's young. That'll happen with the younger guys. But he's living up to expectations.
He's good. Tigers are they could be a surprise. I really don't think that they're going to compete, only because that they are in the toughest division in probably all of baseball, one of the toughest, top 2. But it's nice to see that he's doing well, and he has one of the best players you can learn from, Miguel Cabrera, on that roster. To me, was one of my favorite players all time growing up, from that I've been able to watch. Obviously, the Tigers are a very interesting franchise. Future's not bright as far as immediate future, but this guy, Akil Baddoo, I had no idea who he was until just a few days ago, and he's been hot. He's been hot.
Yeah, I hope he continues to play well throughout the year. Obviously, young guys, they come up, they do well, and then they hit a point where other teams have enough information on them to counteract what they're doing. So hopefully he continues it. Baseball is a game of streaks. He's going to get cold at some point. Just can't get ice cold to where his stats end up being he's hitting like 200 and he has like a 500 OPS.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stat about him though. So 2020, no minor league season. I don't know if he would have been MLB ready this year. It's hard. It's hard, especially taking a guy in a Rule 5 that didn't have a season last year. But in 2019, the highest he got was single A or high A. High A. He played in single A in 2018, high A in 2019. So he didn't even take a double A at bat. And he skipped 2 levels and is in the big leagues.
That is crazy. I mean, looking at his numbers, I guess rookie ball, he was okay. He did pretty well, I guess. But his minor leagues, his A, it was single A and then high A. There's nothing there that indicates. I mean, I guess you, like you said, the Tigers, what do they have to lose?
Mm-hmm.
You get a guy who's young, 22, 6'1", over 200 pounds, can drill the ball, make good contact. He's definitely one to look out for. I really couldn't tell you who else is on the Tigers. I haven't watched Tigers baseball in a couple of seasons, like actually sat down and dissected the Tigers, but he's definitely worth me sitting down and watching one of their games.
They have Candelario. They have Wilson Ramos, who has 5 home runs on the year. Which is crazy. Nomar Mazara.
That's
who's not doing anything.
Yeah, he hasn't really done much.
And then that's about it that I know for the roster. They might have Christian Stewart still. They have Casey Mize. They have a couple of their younger guys starting to pitch in the big leagues. I could see that team start turning around over the next couple of years. They do have a great manager in AJ Hinch.
Yeah.
So it could help them out there. Underrated manager. I know he was with the 2017 Astros, but he has a great mind, and I think the Detroit kind of stole him. I think he got signed when the White Sox were looking for a manager too, wasn't he?
That was like right around that same ballpark. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we'll see on that. The Cubs, they suck. They are one of the worst teams. They are, I believe, the worst team at hitting fastballs in the zone or right down the middle. I retweeted a tweet today about that.
I remember that.
They are just so stagnant. I'm watching the same team that I've watched since end of 2017, definitely 2018. This team just has no contact guys at all. They hit home runs. And they're all like similar types of players to where they can't get a lot of momentum going. Their pitching doesn't help right there. Their average fastball velocity is like 91, 92 out of all their rotation guys. And that's with Adbert throwing in the mid 90s at least. And then at least Craig Kimbrell, he's looking fantastic. He is back to his old self. You love to see that. But the guys, like KB's looking decent. Other guys,
nobody else is doing anything like
Doc
anything.
Peterson isn't at all.
He's strictly your playoff guy. If you guys get there at this rate, I don't.
Well, it was
probably not gonna happen.
It was so awesome seeing him hit these home runs in spring training. Obviously, spring training doesn't mean much, but it should translate a little bit to recognizing pitches. And he's not doing much right now. David Ross last night after their loss to the Brew Crew said, "It feels like we're very homer dependent right now," and he is correct.
That's how, like you said, that's how they've been. They've always, I mean, 2016 was literally their last, obviously the World Series run. That's the last time I remember them hitting for contact. You had Rizzo who would dominate. He would have so many doubles. Javi Baez was actually, Dexter Fowler, obviously he's been gone for the last 2 years. Oh yeah, Ben Zobrist. I mean, a lot of guys that would hit for contact. There were those guys that would slug it out. You had Schwarber, Javi Baez obviously is always or he's reaching for the moon, like Doge. But yeah, it's tough. It's very tough to watch. First few games, you were watching, you're like, they're not hitting too well, but they're doing good enough. They started off hot. And then I think they're on like a 3-game losing streak. They're up tonight. They're up 3-2 on Milwaukee, who is a game back in their division. So
thanks to a Wilson Contreras home run.
Did I see a video of Wilson Contreras got hit in his head?
Yeah, he got hit in the last Brewers series.
Okay. Yeah, I watched that in like 4K. Like they had this weird, it was a cool video, but scary video at the same time because him getting hit in the head. Nice to see him come around and hit a bomb. But yeah, so I guess you never know what you're gonna get with the Cubs. I don't know about you. I'm not really surprised at their bats. Their bats have been these guys a couple of years ago, you're looking at this lineup and you're like, they're dangerous 1 through 9. But now you're like, oh, it's Baez. He's going to go fishing or golfing. KB, like you said, is the only one that's doing semi-decent, and he's not even doing anything great. He's just good, I guess. So it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for these guys to come around. But like you said, baseball's full of streaks. Some guys get hot at the right time, and you just never know.
Yeah, it's still very early into the season. We're 16th of the way through, 10 games as of yesterday. There's a lot of time to turn it around. There's so much time. If this continues, though, we'd have a lot of talk around the trade deadline for where guys move as a Cubs. It's like a Chicago type of podcast. So that will definitely be interesting, and I'm excited about that.
I feel like even if they semi-contend, I feel like I'm expecting a big trade at some point. Maybe KB.
KB is the one that I could see traded no matter what. You're going to get offers. You're going to get calls. And as a team, you got to take the value when offered, especially when it's not guaranteed that you're bringing one of these guys back. And KB is definitely the one that has the least amount of chance to come back as a Cub. Baez and Rizzo, I think Baez is the highest. I think Rizzo's kind of in the mid tier, and then Bryant's low. So if they're up in the division by like 10 games still, the Cubs know they aren't like a World Series caliber team. They will trade and get that value from whatever team decides to trade for him.
Yeah. And whether if it's prospects, I mean, I really don't expect them to get a big player in return. I expect some smaller players, prospect, whatever it's going to be. KB has value. As long as he keeps doing an okay job at like what he's doing right now, he's going to be the one to go. He is definitely going to be the one to go. But now we talk about the Southsiders. Chicago White Sox. They're doing okay. They're 5-5 on the year. They won their last game. They're playing tonight. Giolito's going up against Bieber in a game where the Sox have 2 hits, no runs. Cleveland, 3 hits, no runs. Giolito got pulled already. Bieber, we don't know if he's going to pitch in the 9th, bottom of the 9th. He's got 8 innings, 2 hits, 10 Ks. Giolito had himself a pretty damn good game, too. They pulled him after 7, though. 2 walks, 8 Ks, 3 hits, no earned runs. I'm excited. With a 5-5 record, things are looking up. There is a man who actually did sit tonight who developed the nickname the Yerminator. Yermin Mercedes, rookie. Started off the season hot, 8 for 8, I believe. He's having a hell of a year. Super young. Well, actually, he's 28 years old. Been around. I was going to say he's not super young, but he's young for MLB term. But yeah, he's been hot. He's been the bat. When Eloy Jimenez went down, I'm thinking, man, it doesn't matter. Moncada's going to step up. We have Lewis Robert. We have all these bats. Adam Eaton's going to play his Adam Eaton part. Nick Magical, all these guys. And then Yermin Mercedes. I heard somebody say, I'm like watching ESPN. I'm like listening in. And they're like, he's 8 for 8. You know, I'm watching the game. I'm not even thinking about it that this dude, he hit a home run. Little thick guy, just hit a home run. They're like, he's 8 for 8 now in the season. I'm like, whoa, that's a big deal. 8 for 8. That's stuff. He's batting at 500 on the season right now. He's like 16 for 32. Again, he's not playing tonight. Again, one of those things though. You just have to. You don't expect a guy to stay hot, but you want them to balance out. You don't want them to drop. So I think this is huge for the Sox that they found him. I believe he's batting the DH. While Eloy's out till August. Maybe if he gets lucky, it might be end of July, but it's probably looking like middle to the end of August, which will be good for a playoff push because this AL Central is tough. The Cleveland looks good. Minnesota looks good right now, as expected. But I'm excited. Tim Anderson should be coming back. He got hurt in, I believe, the game against the Angels at the beginning of last week. So he's only played a couple of games. He's going to be another huge bat when he comes back in relatively soon. But I'm excited. With a 5-5 record. Yes, they're 500. I'll take it. They're looking good. They're only going to get better. Kopech looks good too.
Yeah, I forgot he was back. He cut his hair and everything too.
Yeah.
So that is good for the South Side. MLB replays. Been a talk ever since the beginning of the season. Had a couple cases so far in which it doesn't make sense why there's a replay system. You can't overturn everything. It's only for certain situations, and even for these situations, they're still not getting the right call. Prime example was Michael Conforto against the Phillies, I believe. Michael Conforto. It was the Marlins. It was the Marlins. Bases loaded. 2 strikes on Conforto. He leans in, and it's a strike, nonetheless. He gets a strike thrown at him, and he leans in with his elbow guard, tips it, and he gets a walk because he got hit. They go to the replay because Don Mattingly's like, dude, what the heck? He got hit. What are you talking about? And they go to the replay, put on the headset, and the guys in New York are like, that's not a reviewable call. And they're just like, all right, that's the game. It's over. How is that not reviewable? How is stuff late in the game not reviewable?
That doesn't make any sense. That play specifically should be reviewable.
Mm-hmm.
There was another blown call. There was another major blown call. Just as major as that. But this one was reviewable.
Yeah.
We had Phillies in Atlanta, a play at the plate. And who was running home? I don't even know who was running
Alec
home.
Boehm.
Yeah, with the Phillies.
Yeah.
And he slid into home. Initially, this bang bang play, cool. Gets reviewed. He was ruled safe. The replay shows he never touched home plate.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear as day. It's clear as day. But the reviews, the play stands. They said he's still safe. He touched home plate before he ever got tagged. But clearly he didn't. Braves coach goes out there, head coach or manager, and loses his shit. I would lose my shit too. Twitter world, though. Twitter world blew up. Not just us fans. There is athletes, pro baseball athletes, other athletes in other sports expressing concern. Like, what's the point of the MLB replay if the picture's painted red and you're going to call it blue? What's the point of that?
Mike Trout even tweeted about it.
Yes, Mike Trout. That was where I was like, okay. Mike Trout says something. He's expressing concern. He's technically the face of I would consider him the face of the organization, of the league. A lot of people were upset. As a fan, see, I like Atlanta. Atlanta's always been my second favorite team behind the White Sox. Just growing up, I watched Atlanta. So seeing that play, I was a little upset, but I'm like, I'm a little biased. No, I wasn't the only one. I was not the only one.
Yeah, and I get Ozuna had a double hop throw to home plate, and it was super shallow, and he only threw it 77 miles per hour. He might as well have thrown it with his left arm.
Yeah.
Still, he never touched home. They reviewed it, and I don't get how they can look at that and be like, yeah, I guess there actually isn't enough evidence to overturn it. It doesn't make sense at all. And then
I could
another
see.
another call. Well, what are you gonna say before we
I was
get?
gonna say tie goes to the runner, cool, but he didn't touch plate. He didn't touch plate at all. So it's I don't know.
A call last night. Giants Reds. The right fielder, I believe, is Mike Yastrzemski. He makes a catch. He's going into foul territory in right field. Jumps, makes the catch, hits the netting. They call it foul. They review it. You see clearly on the replay, he catches the baseball in the glove, and then he hits the netting, and he jumps into it. They still called the ball foul.
Did the ball hit the net?
No, never did.
That's an out.
Mm-hmm.
That's an out.
Yeah, it just... I'll have you watch it while we're doing this. I'll copy the link that I have from last night. I'll send it to you. There you go. Look at this play.
So he's going, they slowed it up, clearly catches it. Slater leaps. He snow cones it a little bit, but it never he keeps possession. He never touches the net.
Exactly.
It never touches the net.
Exactly.
So I could see where the glove, the opening of the glove kind of he like rotates it for a half second, but I wouldn't consider that a trap. He's not trapping the ball. He doesn't, the ball doesn't, he has the ball. That's bad. So they initially ruled that as a foul ball, and it got reviewed and they kept it a foul ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. That's horrible. Derek Jeter wouldn't even have highlight plays in this day and age. Derek Jeter,
that is correct.
Derek Jeter would have a broken nose for nothing.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh man.
Like,
wow.
I don't get it. I don't get the point of these replay systems if you aren't going to get the right calls correct.
Wow.
It doesn't make it. There's probably...
That's like as clear as day. That is as obvious as the home plate, the bang bang play. That's literally the Atlanta and Philly game. That's literally as clear. I mean, call us. I'll do it free of charge. Give me some clout. I'll do it free of charge. That's crazy.
I think there's another one, but I can't remember it right now. That is enough baseball talk for today, though. We'll be back next week.
At the end of the year, stay tuned for our top 10 to top 20 worst MLB replay calls. Stay tuned. Coming to YouTube near you in October. Be ready.
Mm-hmm. In the NBA, Jamal Murray done for the year, and that hurts to hear.
End of the game.
Yeah.
End of the game. Now, granted, if he would have scored, it would have been like a 2-possession game. It was a close game. It was like 50 seconds left. They're playing to win every game right now because of the fact that they're in a very good position. It's the second half of basketball. There's still a few weeks left. Playoffs, I think there's like 16, 17 games, something like that, maybe a little bit more. You hate to see it. The Denver Nuggets are a team that's easily one of the best in basketball right now. In the West, they're a 4th seed. Are they going to hurt from this? That's the question. I know a lot of people are wondering. Where do they go now? He's done for the year. He's going to probably miss a lot next year as well. Hopefully, we're hoping and praying for a speedy recovery because Jamal Murray is incredible. He's phenomenal. Killed it in the bubble last year. One of the most entertaining. He's been killing it this year. Started off a little bit slow. Still, nonetheless, has been strong the last, I don't know how many games in a row now. But that team right now is 4th, right in front of the Lakers. It's going to be tough. If the season were to go into the playoffs right now, they would face the Lakers. Anthony Davis is fine. He's hurt, but he's fine, right? Like, he's going to play towards the end of the season. get his reps in, get ready for the playoffs. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron is actually hurt, but I'm sure he's fine. It's one of those things. He's fine. He's going to get his reps in towards the end of the season. They're going to make sure they make the playoffs. They're not going to be 7 through 10. They're not going to try to compete to make the playoffs in that little bubble or whatever you want to call it. But the Lakers they're going to pick them apart in a series. When they're healthy against Denver, who is not healthy, it's going to take a lot from Jokic to put up a triple-double every game in the series. And even then, you need Aaron Gordon you need good Aaron Gordon to come out every game, who maybe he could, maybe, you never know. But without Jamal Murray, I think that they are in trouble. This is a team that I think Jamal Murray catapults from a good team around Jokic to a great team around Jokic and Jamal Murray. Like a great team. There's no doubt about it. They're a 4th seed right now. I feel like they may drop to a 5th, 6th. They're going to be a playoff team. They do still have talent. They still have Will Barton, Michael Porter. They have good guys there. I don't know if Gary Harris is ever going to come back. A couple years ago, I would have said, hey, it's cool because they still have Gary Harris.
Got traded.
Oh, he did get traded. You're right. Yeah, he got traded. So that doesn't even matter. Will Barton's going to have to step up and be the Will Barton that he was a couple of years ago. So potential, yes. High ceiling, no. I don't really see them doing anything. I don't see them. It's going to be like a first round exit if I had a gamble on it against any of those top 5 teams in the West. So we'll see. But that is a very, very tough loss. You hate to see good guys go down with an ACL injury. The ACL is always one of those. You never know how the guy's going to return. Obviously, we've seen it personally with Derrick Rose. Kevin Durant came back strong, but he had a torn Achilles. So, and apparently that's supposed to be worse. So maybe he does come back. Jamal Murray is just one of those guys. He's pretty elusive on the court. He's pretty shifty. He's got pretty good handles. He can drive. He can shoot occasionally. So we'll see. Definitely prayers for Jamal Murray for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, definitely don't like seeing that.
Not at all. As a fan, I don't want the one team that I hate in any playoff series. I wouldn't want, like, if the Bulls were going up against LeBron, Miami Heat, back in the day, like if LeBron went down due to an injury, we don't want that victory. Like, we hate to see that. So obviously that didn't happen, but hypothetically speaking. So yeah, that's tough. Other than that, there's not really much news in the NBA other than it's getting closer to the playoffs. Phoenix Suns, Utah had a really good game a few days back, battled it out. Donovan Mitchell hit a late game free throw, clutch free throw it would have been. So, but I mean, that's pretty much it for right now. The Bulls are struggling on a 3-game losing streak.
Kevin Durant's back.
Kevin Durant is back.
He dropped 30 points tonight against the Timberwolves. It's hilarious just seeing this Nets team. Like, I get these guys are hurt and like they have stuff going on, but it's just hilarious how Irving, Harden might be the most valuable player on the team based off what he does. But basically Harden, Durant, and Irving are all like, do you want to play today? No, you got it. And then one of them will play. And then the next day or next game, another one of them will play. And then maybe 2 of them will play one game. And then the next game there's one. It's
smart. I mean, these guys, all you need is once you get to the playoffs, these guys are fine. There's no issues. Kyrie out once a week with a personal issue, whatever those personal issues are. Durant obviously was out for a long while. He came back. His first game back, he came off the bench and he shot like 100% from the field. He shot like, I don't even know what it was, 8 for 8 or something. And he's in his new shoes that he was sporting for a friend. But yeah, it's, you never know what you're going to get. And I mean, right now they're number 2 behind Philadelphia. Last few weeks of basketball, you're going to see them playing together more simply because You want them to get back into that rhythm. So, and they're going to take the number 1 seed personally. I just don't think Philly has it. Good team for Philly, but they just don't compare to Brooklyn. Nobody really compares to Brooklyn right now when they're 100%.
Moving on to the NFL, James Conner signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like it.
I didn't even know he was a free agent.
I thought everybody signed already. Actually, somebody was showing a list of unsigned free agents so far. There's a few guys I was looking at earlier. I forgot who, but James Conner obviously was one of them. He signs a 1-year deal. He's been having okay seasons with Pittsburgh. And you know the rule on running backs, after 3-4 years, you never know what you're going to get. I think James Conner signing with the Arizona Cardinals is huge signing. Even if you only get, you don't need him as an every down back. You have Kyler Murray. You have the best receivers in the game. Best receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. The defense got better. They had another notable signing. Didn't they get another? They signed a receiver. Who was that? Did they sign
AJ Green?
AJ Green. Yeah. So maybe he does something pretty well. Maybe he kind of, I don't know. I think they're gonna really mold these older veterans, these Pro Bowlers, maybe Hall of Famers are gonna mold the young, super talented young guys on this Cardinals team, offense and defense, both sides of the ball. And I believe that with the mix of personality and the mix of talent that they have between speed and power and just football knowledge, I personally believe that they're going to be a playoff team this year. I think that I'm willing on betting that they will be a playoff team this year. Obviously, we're going to get predictions later, July, August, after preseason. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for the Cardinals. I think that was a huge signing for them.
And with that signing, there's some unfortunate news with retirement. Julian Edelman failed his physical. I guess he got cut or whatever, but he is done with football. He had a great run with the Patriots. Overall career, just okay, but we all know in the playoffs, he put up some pretty decent playoff runs with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And so Julian Edelman came out of college as a quarterback. He played quarterback in college, played wide receiver in the NFL, played in 2009, all the way up until 2020. So an 11-year career. Actually, 12-year career. 3-time Super Bowl champ. He just okay. The conversation that everyone's having, though, is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer?
I cannot, based on the history of the NFL and players struggling and struggled to get into the Hall of Fame, I'm going to say no. And there was a tweet. It was the best. This is the simplest way to put it. Warren Sharp on Twitter posted yesterday. Comparison of Julian Edelman to Hines Ward. Hines Ward can't make the final ballot in Hall of Fame voting in the last 5 years. You compare catches. Hines, 1,000 catches to Julian Edelman, 620. Yardage. Hines Ward, over 12,000. Julian Edelman, just under 7,000. Hines Ward, 85 touchdowns to Julian Edelman, 36. They both have a Super Bowl MVP. 0 Pro Bowls for Julian Edelman, 4 for Hines Ward. All I'm saying is if it took pulling teeth to get Terrell Owens, I want to say is the proper pronunciation. If it takes pulling teeth to get someone of that talent and the statistics are there to get him into the Hall of Fame, I'm sorry, Julian Edelman, but your lack of numbers and your non-lack of getting caught taking steroids, kind of kills your Hall of Fame. You're gonna be rich. You're rich. You've won Super Bowls. You did it. Nobody's taken away the accolades. You're a great receiver. You were great with Tom Brady. That Patriots run, but you're not a Hall of Famer. and it's not even close.
Yeah, people forget about the PED stuff after he won the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
I get he's third all time in receiving yards in the playoffs. Like, as cool of a stat that might be, he played with one of the best dynasties in NFL history. The Patriots. He had to have accumulated yards somewhere with him playing so many games. How many Super Bowls did Tom Brady play in? I get they have bye games too. A couple of seasons they probably had a bye, but still, Super Bowl is a minimum 3 games to play to get there.
At
and
least. Didn't he play?
If you play in the Super Bowl, it's 3 games minimum, 4 games total if you have to play in the wild card round. Like, you're going to accumulate those stats regardless. I don't think the Patriots missed a postseason while he was in town. I think the last time they missed the postseason was when they had 10 or 11 wins with Matt Castle at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
When Tom Brady went down.
That was it.
Using the postseason stuff's just terrible. He never had any really good regular season stuff. 3-time Super Bowl champion, a lot more than other guys, but it's a team sport at the end of the day.
With that team, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a bunch of people get in there, and just he didn't really do it in the regular season. And as you said, the NFL Hall of Fame, kind of hard to get into. I don't think Torrey Holt's in it. There's still another guy. Was Isaac Bruce or Holt? The one
Isaac Bruce, I'm pretty sure, is in it.
Isaac Bruce is in the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt is not in the Hall of Fame. He is a 7-time Pro Bowl, 1-time All-Pro. He's a Hall of Fame All-2000s team, Super Bowl champion, 13,000 yards. He played 11 seasons, 13,000 yards, 920 receptions, 74 touchdowns. In the postseason, he's up there as like leaders, I guess, as well.
6 straight years of over 1,300 yards. 6 straight years. He had over 80 catches in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row. Most of those were 90 catches at least. I know it was a very pass-heavy team, but this is during a day and age where for somebody passing 50,000 yards was not common whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Torrey Holt should be in a Hall of Fame. That's no question, no doubt about it. I don't even know, like, is he even eligible? Can he even go at this point?
I think so. I don't know how Hall of Fame works in the NFL. I don't know how many years you're on a ballot.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think so, because let's just say 5 years after you retire, you got 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, and we're 7 years down the line. I would assume he's still eligible.
Yeah. He's got to be. There's been older guys to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, Julian Edelman, again, would love to have that type of guy on any. I'm sure anybody would accept him on their team. Like, I would love to have Julian Edelman, but when you speak of Hall of Fame in the NFL, it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. That's for sure. I'm sure some people feel different, Patriots fans probably, but without Tom Brady, is he really? He's not going to have any of those numbers. He wouldn't have any of those numbers because he wouldn't play in 100 playoff games or 19 or 20 playoff games, whatever the number is.
Yeah, I am struggling to find that, but I've seen a lot of people talk about it. It's obviously just the Patriots fans that are like, yes, he's in. He'll be a Patriots Hall of Famer.
Oh, for sure.
For the NFL Hall of Fame, no way is that happening. No way. Please, just like, the recency bias is getting to you.
Yeah. It's like I said, with the PEDs, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, it just can't happen. It cannot happen. He had a couple of good seasons where, like, you're like, oh man, Julian Edelman's it. Slot receiver, just another Wes Welker. I don't know. I don't think he's it. Replaceable for sure. If you're replaceable, are you really a Hall of Famer?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Anyways, though, that's going to do it for this episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. Next week should be another exciting episode. I don't know why, but as always, it will be exciting.
Because we're on it, damn it.
Yeah, we'll be back again next week with talks about baseball. Baseball's going on every day, so there's going to be talks there regardless. NBA, we'll probably start talking more about the playoffs and matchups coming up to that. NFL draft is coming up in a couple weeks. I don't really know much about the draft. I'm not really a big college guy. We will follow that. We will follow that a little bit. So football is going to be a little weak over the next couple weeks. Draft day, though, once that happens, we'll talk about the NFL quite a bit when that happens. But anyways, follow us on social media, SR Only Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow our personal pages. Mine is at the Healy6.
I'm iGoose with 4 O's. Hit that follow button and make sure you guys are downloading the episodes. That is how we are able to gauge our analytics. That's our view count right there when you guys hit that download button. Again, like Healy said, if you want to undownload it later on, cool. If you really want to help out, show some love, go ahead and hit that download button. Make sure you are following us. Check out our YouTube as well.
And we'll see you guys later.